Thank you for joining. This is Mark with Marley. Today we're going to be talking about how to troubleshoot a Marley LLC water level panel. Okay, let's talk about how to troubleshoot this panel. I want to start off by saying that the control panel and the water level probes that come with the panel are 100% tested at the factory before we ship them. So the panel gets assembled in the shop, and then they actually tie in a simulator to all these points right here, and they manually simulate water level changing up and down to prove that the panel works before we ship it. So most of the calls that we get back from the field aren't that the panel isn't working properly, it's just that it's not working and they don't know why. So some of the issues are field wiring, usually associated with the electrical probes coming back to the panel. Maybe the customer added on to the probe sets to extend the length, and maybe they didn't terminate them properly under the correct wire number, or maybe they landed them under the terminal point and landed on the insulation. We'll talk about that later. Most of my calls are the field wiring type of errors. Some of the other issues that are in the field are the probe heights are incorrectly adjusted inside the tower. And if you watch parts 1 and 2 of the video, you'll see how to make those adjustments. The other call we get back is the solenoid does not operate. We'll talk about that a little bit later. One call I get back is nothing's working on the makeup. There happens to be an HOA selector switch on the side of the panel here, and for it to work in automatic, it has to be in the auto position. If it's in the off position, it's not going to work. And even the simplest thing, like maybe the circuit breakers are not turned on. So I'm going to go through this, and when I get a call that it's not working in the field, the first thing I have people do is disconnect the field wiring, and we're going to prove that the control panel itself is functional. And once we do that, now we can start chasing things that are outside of the control panel, such as the probes and the solenoid. So I have a real control panel here on the desk, and what I did, I ran 120 volt power to the main circuit breaker. This is called the line side of the breaker. Typically out in the field, your wiring is going to come up from the bottom, up and over and into the top of this main breaker. Once power runs through the main breaker, it's distributed throughout all the circuit cards. So you have to have the circuit breaker in the on position. Right now with most circuit breakers, with the handle down, you're in the off position, you flip it up, now we're powered on. And you'll see when you're powered on, you'll see some lights come on the cards. That's telling you that the cards are energized, they are receiving power. Now if you notice on the makeup card here, I don't see a light. That is because my HOA selector switch is off. So if I turn that to the automatic position, now my light comes on. So I can visually see that all 3 cards are receiving power. That tells me all this red wiring at this point is correct within the system. The other circuit breaker is for the makeup right here, and this provides power to the customer's remote solenoid. So you got to make sure it is also turned on. Otherwise your solenoid is not going to operate. So the first thing we're going to do is prove that our panel works. Let's go ahead and disconnect the field wiring. I'm going to go ahead and turn power off to the panel so I'm safe. Now even though I've turned power off to the panel, everybody must understand that these 2 points up here, there's actually 120 volts from the field wiring from the power supply feeding this panel. But I do not have any power after this because there's an air brake switch in here, so everything after here is safe. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the field wiring probes. Okay, all the probe wires are out of the system right now. If you watched segments 1 and 2, it talks about how conductivity works. And just as a quick review, once more, you have a reference probe that is in the water, and it conducts electricity through the water to the other probes. Well, we're going to do the same thing and not use the probes. Instead, we're just going to use a wire jumper. This particular wire jumper that I made, I used 2 wires and tied the ends together so I can check all the cards, including the makeup, which actually uses 2 probes. But for right now, we're just going to test one of the cards. We're going to take this card by card. So you need one in on number 13, which represents the reference probe that is in the water. So my high alarm card is number 18, I believe. We'll find out here in a second. So through the wire, I'm going to conduct from the reference probe number 13, which is my reference probe. I complete the circuit to number 18 probe, and you can see the relay right inside this yellow case right here. You see the relay contacts change state. You can hear it. You can also see this little green light come on, indicating that the card's functioning. So you have 2 visuals and 1 audible. And it's hard to hear a relay clicking in the field, but it's nice to have the visuals. Therefore, you know that this card's working. So let's go to the next card, which is your high alarm card. I believe that's probe number 16. We're just going to repeat the same process. Keep your wire on number 13, which is reference probe. It's always in the water. I'm going to attach this to number 16. Now you see the relay on the high level relay card here in the middle. Change state. And you can see the light come on and off. And we're going to have a chart in this video that tells you, based on what the water level is, based on what the probes are seeing, it's going to tell you if the light's going to be on and off on these cards. There's actually 2 different cards in here. Some work in reverse order, so that chart comes in really, really handy. So I'm going to show you this one more time. Number 16, high relay card. Appears to be functioning just fine. So far I feel good that this panel is working. Next we're going to go to the makeup card.